Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are now bringing you live to Hanging with Friends versus Spaceman Spiff in the Ionian Division Semifinals. I'm Ansem571,
And I am Cage the Caged Reaper.
and today we are going to bring you an exciting best of three matchup. For those of you who did not get to see it, unfortunately, because we ran out of time for the regular season, Hanging with Friends and Spaceman Spiff were one of the last matchups of the season. And Hanging with Friends, despite having been undefeated all season long, lost 2-0 to Spaceman Spiff.
This is going to be a real potential David versus Goliath story. Nobody's been able to touch Hanging with Friends all season. End of the season, their perfect season gets ruined by Spaceman Spiff, and really in kind of convincing fashion.
Yeah, so I would say that the first game was very nail biter. Like it was like, oh god, is it going to happen? What's going to happen? Because there was actually a substitute needed because Koite, the top laner for Spaceman's Fifth, had to be subbed out due to availability. So they actually had to bring in their sixth man, Foozle Bamboozle, and he bamboozled with Ornn all the way to first to win the game. And then Koite came in with, I believe it was Silas top lane.
Can confirm it was Silas top lane.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. And so this is going to be a very exciting match to see, like, will the nerves and jitters get back to Hanging with Friends, the fact that they lost to this team somehow. And really, it was great team coordinated play from Spaceman Spiff, and the fact that Ace Pat, the jungler for Spaceman Spiff, was able to get off the ground early and effectively.
Yeah, Spaceman Spiff, they do some really funky things, but the thing that really stood out to me from game one was that their Rise, Solara Yuzu, absolutely went off. 6, 1, and 8 on the Rise to the point where Hanging with Friends actually dropped a ban to ban the Rise first in the first rotation that second game. But I'm really excited to see this pick and ban phase going in. There's a lot of mind games that kind of get played between these two teams. I think there's a couple of bans we're guaranteed to see. If the last series was any indication, we're not going to see a Rumble. Spaceman Spiff is going to ban that away from Tuba 100%, as everybody always should.
Yes, and other bans that we saw from the first round of their match was the Yuumi ban from Bixby and the Karthus ban from the Gelati. Now, Gelati is very well known with his Karthus, but Bixby picking up the Yuumi is not necessarily new, but is newer for this season. It really pairs well for Rixie being able to pick both Yuumi and Ezreal very early, and is very effective.
The thing that surprised me was the Zilean ban both games away from Gelati. The thing that really surprised me in the first series that they played is Zilean actually was banned both games against Gelati as well.
Yes, in the second round of rotation bans, yes they were.
So what I'll be interested to see is how Spaceman Spiff approaches their banning of Gelati's champion pool, because they spent 3 bans on him both games, only to have him pull out Lissandra and Azir, both of which he hadn't shown before and didn't get banned either game.
Yeah, the thing that I think that would actually be a good idea for both teams to look forward to do is that Spaceman Smith gets something like the Nocturne, which just causes confusion for any team having to deal with. But Hanging with Friends answers that with a Zilean pick, because if you're able to know who he is jumping onto, Zilean can ult them and save their life.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm sure Nocturne was played both games by Ace Pat after his Kha'Zix was banned out both games. I bet you they picked that towards the end of the first round. That's why they banned out that Zilean both games. Other notable bans that were banned both games were Nami and Vladimir were both banned by Hanging with Friends both times, denying them from Spaceman Spiff, as they have players that are preferential to both. I know that Taisa is a very big fan of the Nami.
Hmm. Yeah, he's a fan of those Nami and Sona. And with the Sona, you'll actually see a really kind of different build where he'll go for a Tear of the Goddess early and have that go through really, really quick.
And it looks like we're getting going again with a early Rumble Kha'Zix ban right off the bat. Ace Pat and Tuba's preferred champions not going to be seeing this first game.
Yeah, they recognize. So the Ornn is not really something that Koite knows how to play, at least from when he played on my team way back in season 2 now. Um, so we do see the Silas and the set ban, and Rumble, Karthus, and Yumi as it was in the first set.
The
And
surprising ban for me is the set ban because I know Mayor of Huevos is a big fan of playing it, but instead opts to take the Nocturne away from Ace Pat.
yeah, now the real question is, so for those of you who don't know, we're not going to get at this game obviously, but Ace Pat has been requesting all season long for a Rengar versus Kha'Zix matchup. Like, he doesn't matter if he wins or loses on it, he just wants the hunt. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that matchup this game as the Nocturne is picked and Kha'Zix is banned.
Uh, so Misfortune, obviously a high priority pick by Spaceman Spiff. It was banned against them the first game that they played with Hangin with Friends. And they actually picked it up the second game when that ban was dropped and opting into it early here along with the Ornn.
Yeah, that's actually interesting that Koite has been picking up Ornn. He's more of a carry styled player, so for him to be a tanky frontliner is definitely a different setup for him.
It's going to bring a really bit different dimension to the Spaceman Spiff team because I agree. We normally pick really conservatively into Koite in the top lane and just try to deny him the ability to get ahead. But if he's on the Ornn, he's content just farming and buffing his team up.
Hmm.
The real question for me is that Karma mid or Karma support? I know that that's a Gelati type of thing to take a Karma mid.
Yeah, he's taken champions like the Karma, Soraka we saw earlier this season, and we do see Nami being picked up. That will go to Taisa. That is his champion. And now we know what the bottom lane is for Spaceman Spiff. Hanging with Friends, their bottom lane, if that were their bottom lane, I would be like, okay, this is, fine. A lot of poke with both of those, so that would work just fine in my opinion.
I tend to agree. I think it's really interesting that they decided to let Spaceman Spiff have their favorite bot lane. And Spaceman Spiff, not sold that the Karma's going mid, decide to ban the Orianna.
Fair assessment. I think a good idea for Hanging with Friends would actually be something like an Azir for mid lane, which Gelati has been practicing for the better part of this year at least. Um, Annie banned for Solaire. I don't think Solaire plays Annie. Solaire, from what I remember, is more like the Katarina style champion.
I thought Andy was still disabled in our league as well, so
Oh,
unless
that
unless
is
I missed
right.
something, Hanging with Friends are throwing away a ban there.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, that had not been addressed yet by league officials. Um, we have not, yeah, as the tribunal of the caster for today. No, we have not gotten any information to contrary.
So real kind of a little bit of dropping the ball in the draft there with Hanging with Friends. I do remember Solaire playing Annie. I think that when I looked it up, we just opted to let it go through and ban the Vladimir.
Hmm.
I don't know if they picked it or not into us, but not something that we were overly concerned about. I think that if that is a Karma mid, that's part of why they're banning the Annie because Annie into Karma mid is particularly frustrating for the Karma.
Hmm. Well, yeah, you have a stun versus a non-stun, so
Yeah. Ace
we do.
Pat opting into the Warwick here.
Yeah, that's one of his more personal champions, and Malphite going into the top lane for Tuba. That's, I mean, Ornn does a lot of magic damage, so he's mostly getting ready for that to go on to that misfortune, because she doesn't have a way to dodge that
That would be
other
my
than
assessment on it also, is
flashing.
that the Malphite pickup is an R button to turn off the R button of Misfortune, because if Nami and Misfortune layer their ultimates, it can be really hard to stop Misfortune.
Aha, there we go. Yes, it was a Karma bottom lane and Galio for Gelati. Gelati's taken more of a backseat to being more utility based from what I've seen in past years.
What surprises me is, or it doesn't surprise me, I actually was going to recommend the Galio pick because of the Nocturne and Galio synergy. You add a Malphite into that, and the team fight from Hanging with Friends is a really, really big deal. And there comes the Rise out of Solaire Yuzu. So they must be really confident into this Galio against Rise matchup if they're letting the Rise come through that they disliked so much after the first game that they banned it.
So another option that they can do, I know it's not practical, but they can do it as another option, is actually swap Koite and Solaire. So that way the Rise goes into the Malphite, which is really good for the Rise. And then Ornn into Galio, which is a neutral state for both.
I don't know that I would personally opt into that. I think that the Rise into Galio is actually a fine lane. Galio's burst can be really frustrating, but Rise's ability to push and avoid the engage in many instances negates the concern that you have to have off of that. At least in my experience in that matchup from the Galio side.
Yeah. So the reason why I say it is because you want to punish the Malphite for being a Malphite. Like, he scales well with armor, not with MR, so he's not going to be building a lot of MR early. He's going to build it, yes, but it's just not going to be as effective. So you can punish that while Rise is still scaling up against a Malphite.
That's fair. The big shift that I'd like to see would be the Galio support. Um, I know that Dr. Dad on our team is a fan of the Galio support, despite the fact that the rest of the team might not be. And the
Yeah,
Karma mid into the Rise might actually work better than Galio in some instances.
yeah, I am of the personal belief that Galio support is kind of an int right now. Like, he got a lot of buffs for his damage, but the only good buff that he got for support Galio lately has been the magic damage shield back for his R.
And as they begin to pick in the tournament draft, we see indeed it is the Ornn top, the Rise mid, and the Galio is staying in the mid lane.
Yeah, let me.
Which would be the logical way for this
I'm
game
just
to play out.
okay. So I have another wonderful Riot client where while it does have Malphite as the first pick, it actually has him listed as the last pick. So everybody is shifted down one.
You gotta
Or,
love when Riot's client does special things.
like, come on, man.
You've only been around for 10 years.
Yeah, so fun fact, I have been around since season 1. I have not seen the client be as messed up as it has this year.
Having been playing since season 2, I tend to agree and frequently ask for the old client back because, as janky and glitchy as it was, I felt like it didn't crash or have problems to nearly the extent that this new client does.
Yeah, and another thing that I have that I would love for to be brought back from the old client is being able to spectate D2 plus games. Like, that was actually fun to just sit down and watch, because it's like, oh hey, here's something that's like a little bit closer to my skill level than a pro play and challenger.
I agree. I feel like the rise of Twitch and streaming has kind of knocked that need down a little bit. I preferred it because you could spectate any D2 player you happen to stumble across playing what you like, rather than
Yeah,
having to look for somebody.
yeah,
But
and you can just look through and see, okay, who is it? It's like, what champion are they playing? And there were like a bunch of games that you could look to see, like, oh hey, this looks like an interesting game.
Yeah. So as we wait to get onto the map, a little bit of quick analysis about the teams. Hanging with friends with a little bit more of a team fight oriented team than I normally expect from them. Tuba opting into the tank with none of the bruisers that he used to be so prodigious on being banned, especially with the Galio pick, surprises me a little bit.
So, for those of you who don't remember, because I didn't actually know it, way back when we were all little children, Tuba actually, before he started playing a lot of Rumble, he actually played a lot of Malphite. That was one of his original main champions that he played on. So he is very comfortable with this champion. He is going to build full tank. He doesn't do the full AP one shot TEXD GG15 go next kind of a build, but it he is going to produce the same amount of pressure, I feel, that he would on a pick that isn't named Rumble. Because that is just a no-brainer. You don't want him to have Rumble.
Yeah, I don't think that we ever even considered leaving it unbanned, especially after somebody this season left it unbanned, and we watched what happened, and it did not look pretty.
I think I remember that. But anyways, what was it? There was so a little bit of history as well. As the color caster I am. Back when I was a top laner and I played against Tuba, I didn't know that he played Malphite, and it was a time where Malphite wasn't a good option either. Just before a finals match where it actually ended up being a best of 5, as a little bit of a jab to Tuba, like my team wasn't expected to win at all. But I threw a little jab at Tuba because like his team could only get him counter matchups, and he can't even play tanks. So, what does that tell you about him as a top laner? So, game one, rightfully so, I got smacked because he got a counter matchup. Games two and three, he tried to play a tank, and I smacked him.
Well, as funny as that story is, it looks like the 2 games that he was allowed to play Rumble, one of them was against your Team Tempest, and he went off. And then the other was against Cloud 10, and he went off again.
So the one against Team Tempest, he actually brought it mid lane, not top lane. We had a counter for top lane, but they swapped him to the top, or him to mid lane, and they put a Soraka top lane.
Oh, I recall that. That was one of the things that we scouted out against them is they like to switch Gelati top on Ornn when they pick the Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Without further ado, we are getting underway into the match. Now that the timer has reached 0, enough reminiscence of the past. We are here today, right now, hanging with friends versus Spaceman Spiff. Who is going to win? Vote in the chat. We don't have a voting polling system, but vote in the chat.
And we're going to read all these votes and hold them against you later.
Yep. And if you're wrong, well, I got some bad news for you. You're wrong.
Gelati will find you. But at least for me, it looks like we're stuck on 94%.
So have I.
Once again, the highest grossing company in the world can't manage to make a functioning spectator client.
You expect too much from an Indiana-based company.
Oh,
Oh,
we're up at
sorry.
96.
Oh, what was? Yeah, they're a small. Uh, so they used to be a small indie company. But now they are a Korean hip hop star music video producer company.
Just going down in the world.
That and they make all their money from Lux, the billion-dollar champion.
Oh, see, here I thought the billion-dollar champion was Lulu.
Nope, it's Lux. They have made more skins for Lux than any other champion.
Really? Even Timo?
Yes, I believe she just passed it with her latest one.
All right, well, we finally see a rift. There just aren't champions yet, but here we go. And as we get underway here, we see a lot of pinging out early warnings on the side of Hanging with Friends. Not sure what they're trying
No,
to
that's their
5 point.
pathing. They're going in.
Oh, yeah, look at that 5 stack. They're definitely setting something up. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Spaceman Spiff wants to 5 point. They don't want to do anything.
Yeah, they know that they don't win a 5v5 at this point in the game. Rise would at best have only one ability, and that's not enough for Rise to pop off.
As the resident support player, what is it that Nami starts? If Nami started Bubble, would that troll the team?
Yes, that would be a huge troll. So you would start with your W. Oh God, hold up, Tidzy, what are you doing, Tidzy? Tidzy! What are you doing?
Well, a little bit of trolling by the ADC for Spaceman Spiff.
Very greedy there.
Running it down to try to get a ward on the Raptor camp, and Hanging with Friends. Level 1 minute death bush pays off.
That was 110% Tidzy's fault. Like, while yes, he went in there, he had zero backup. Like, Taisa wasn't anywhere near close. Pat was chilling in the mid lane. Like, there was no way that was going to go well. Even if there was only one person, that would be like, okay, well, you're going to have to burn a flash, if anything. That is absolutely unworth it. Sorry.
It just feels like a little bit of lack of communication there. But the good news is Tidzy's going to be punished for her mistakes by the damage and the kill going over to the Ezreal.
Tidzy. But yes, and actually Mayor Huevos actually used his flash to secure that one. And as mentioned earlier on in the draft, we do see the poke coming out from the Karma and the Ezreal. Ezreal having taken Conqueror, so he'll be able to do a lot of damage early.
Warwick opting into a
but we do see a level 2 early
clear.
bot lane. Hold up, we got a little bit of a brawl down here.
Flash out of Bixby to save his life. As Ace Pat running around the backside of mid lane. Solari Yuzu with the lockdown. Body blocking the jump, but Gelati manages to use the E off of Galio to knock up Ace Pat, denying the fear, and then flash out to dodge the gank. But Ace Pat's walking up into the river. Mayor of Huevos sits waiting and is spotted out by the ward before Ace Pat walks into a jungle that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, now Koite has to recognize, okay, Nocturne was in the top jungle, so he's got to back up, and he does. That is progress, everybody. He used to not do that ever, so I'll give him props for that. He's learning.
But some good early pathing off of Ace Pat, and a bit of a greedy trade in the bot lane has 3 flashes burned on the side of Hanging with Friends as Spaceman Spiff walks down to take this first crowd.
Yeah, Pat did get the top lane crabs, so Huevos is going to respond in suit for the bottom
Ace
lane.
Pat coming back here for Gelati, knowing that the flash is burned, but the dash away is going to be enough that he gets out safe. Mayor of Huevos in the area, taking the other crab, walks up just to make sure nothing funny is going to happen.
And also just want to take stock in some rune choices. So we do have Malphite having gone for the Ultimate Hunter, and because of having the 1 stack off of Misfortune already has a 9% CDR off of that ultimate. Nocturne, similar. Galio didn't go for Mana Flow ban, just went for Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence. Ezreal went for the Mana Flow, and Bixby very standard. But the Ornn went for Unsealed Spellbook, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because while yes, you're not really going to be able to trade grass procs on Malphite, but how worth it is that rune choice?
Personally, I haven't seen an unsealed spell book on him, but I have to imagine that it's a adaptation based off of the ghost buffs, and they're probably hoping to use the extra smite to secure some of these objectives that are coming up.
And then otherwise, everybody else is pretty standard for all their rune choices. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that because that was like some of these are very interesting and just like you don't expect some of these.
Yeah, the one that surprises me a little bit is Mayor of Huevos. I frequently see Nocturnes taking Electrocute just to try to get that little bit of extra burst, but he wants the dueling power. He wants to opt into a little bit more of a skirmishing style, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
So personally, I believe that Hail of Blades is just fine for Nocturne. I don't know how I feel about Lethal Tempo. I agree to both, but the reason for the Hail of Blades is because you can instantly do a bunch of damage, whereas Lethal Tempo, it's after you hit, you have to wait 1.5 seconds before it actually gives you that attack speed buff. Whereas Hail of Blades, it's just, you do damage, here you go.
Alright, and kind of a slow start after the initial imp. We've got everybody just farming. So thus far, nobody's made any egregious errors, but we've got a little bit of something spicy happening here as Gelati smells out the Warwick gank and manages to knock up Ace Pat and force him back. TP comes out of Tuba, however, as the bot lane from Hangin with Friends walks up, pushing the Warwick out of his jungle, and it looks like they're going to force an early dragon here off of Gelati spotting out Ace Pat.
Yeah, I love early Ocean Drake. Like, the first Drake being an Ocean, that is so good for any team. Doesn't matter who you are. That amount of early regenning for health is just, it just feels so good. And it looks like we have an Infernal as our next one, so not too awful. But that means we're going to have either Cloud or Earth Drake. And taking a wild stab, it's going to probably be a Cloud Drake.
And regardless of which one it is, both are of huge benefit to the team comp of Hanging with Friends.
Agreed. Yeah, like Nocturne, you already are going to be charging in at people very fast. Now you're going to be supersonic speed.
Well, and if it winds up being the Cloud Drake, the extra cooldown off of Tuba is going to mean that Malphite's going to be flying into a fight every 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun.
Ace Pat attempting to make a play around the mid lane again, but getting caught on a ward and electing just to clear vision. While up on the top side, Mayor of Huevos taking the opportunity to clear the Rift Herald, knowing that the Warwick is in mid lane.
Oh, nice little bubble there, but does not have the ultimate for Misfortune, so they will be able to go. And something that I just noticed with this, so there's nothing inherently through bottom lane that actually stops Misfortune's ultimate, other than the pressure of damage. So if Gelati is unable to get down there, then he can fire an ultimate if Tysa lands a good bubble.
And it looks like they're looking for that right now, but Rixie with the E to safety.
Yeah, it does have that tier stacking up, and for those of you who don't know, I personally dislike, oh, hold up.
Koite and Tuba trading in the top lane, but it's a wet noodle fight, and Koite just walks away.
Yeah, and he does have some magic resistance for that Abyssal Mask, so he's able to walk out of that.
Mayor of Huevos walking down with the Nocturne level 6, trying to set up for the counter onto whatever play that Tysa and the Tidzy are setting up, but Solari Yuzu, smelling it out, starts wandering down on the rise before realizing that spending too much time in that lane means the Galio's walking down now too. This is going to be a big,
Ooh,
big
does find
flashes are burned. but the Galio ultimate's too far behind. Tyson with the ults to get them all out. Tidzy is gonna walk out just barely after taking chunks from everybody. The Ezreal ulti goes just wide, so both flashes are burned. Heal and Exhaust are burned on the bot lane, but they survive despite the fact that Rixie flashes forward and Mayor of Huevos also flashes forward, and now the ulti from Tidzy is going to clear the wave and deny them even turret plates off of that 4-man gank bot, and all of the ultimates committed.
Nice. That was so needed. So one of the crutch things about Nocturne as a jungler is that you need your ultimates early to hit their targets. And not only to hit their targets, which he did, you need to kill the target. And because he didn't, that puts it behind. Hold up.
Dropping the Rift Herald as Solari Yuzu teleports in behind, trying to get the pressure down. You got a TP coming in off of Koite also, and he's gonna go in. Unstoppable comes out, dash goes, but they flash out, nobody gets caught up in it. And it looks like Spaceman Spiff burning all of their cooldowns in return in that bot lane, trying to make a play just to have the enemy team walk away once again. And the teams are still dead even with 100 gold difference between them.
I'm trying to remember what my point was going to be. Yeah, so with the fact that Nocturne didn't get his gank off to get an actual kill, that does put him behind significantly because he doesn't scale well. It's his ultimate that is to help scale the team. So the fact that he didn't get a kill off means it's going to take him even longer for him to be a true significant threat.
And the counter gank did cost the flash from Bixby. So now there's no flashes in the bot lane. All that's left is the auxiliary summoners on the bot lane side of Hangin with Friends, the heal and the ignite. But in the current lane state, I don't know that they can really use those to much effect.
But Ezreal did finish his Mirror Mana, so he will be scaling that up now. Or Mana Mune, sorry.
Continued slapfest going on in the top lane, where Tuba, for his early departure for Dragon, is actually 20 CS behind Koite on the Ornn, who is backing now. And the Ornn nerfs recently, I'm sure, are making him not like the champion quite as much as it used to be.
Yeah, the amount of damage for his max percentage of the W's definitely got to hurt a bit.
As they set up around the Dragon here, there's a TP advantage as Tuba has just a couple seconds left on his cooldown as he's walking down.
Oh, but Koite swapped his.
Swapped over to the Ignite, and a big ulti comes out of the Misfortune as Warwick goes forward, and they're going to blow up Tuba. Tuba falls, and Jelani ults to get in there, but he falls as well. That's a 2-0 on the side of Spaceman Spiff, and they're not done. The Ornn Horde comes out, knocks up Bixby, but the bot lane and the jungler are still alive and hovering around this Dragon Pit, knowing that even though they dropped 2, there's half health and no ultimates left on the sides of Spaceman Spiff.
Yeah, they're Nocturne still has his ultimate, so he can leap to anybody he chooses.
And because of the position, there it goes. Stole it. Steal, but he's gonna fall for his pain. But they return the Warwick trade. The bubble lands onto Rixie, and Rixie's gonna die. Dixie now being turned on, but Tuba's there. Tuba's getting chunked out. Gelati's there as well, trying to get into the back line to do damage, but he gets knocked up and CC'd as the Tidzy walks away, picks up a heal from the Nami. They manage to knock down Gelati, so while the steal from Mayor of Huevos goes off successfully, it costs them another 3 lives. And that's going to be 5 kills and a 1.5 thousand gold lead in favor of Spaceman Spiff.
Holy crap. Tidzy lived barely because of all the crowd control that they were able to land.
Oh, and here comes the dive onto Tuba as Tyson lands a bubble. Solari locks him up, and that's another kill as Spaceman Spiff really showing what they do with those comfort champions that Hangin with Friends let them have.
Oh my god, like they're getting, like, I don't want to say it, but as well, like, they are getting really, really clutch moments on these champions so hard. Like, the fact that Misfortune didn't die in that fight to the Galio, the fact that they were able to find a random pick onto the Malphite under his own tower, and the top half of the map is just getting smacked by for Hangin with Friends. Good job for Spaceman Spiff.
The controlled aggression by Spaceman, Spiff, and the different sources of damage really coming through clutch as Hangin with Friends tries to make a slightly over-aggressive play around that dragon, trying to turn around their initial loss, and instead they just hemorrhage a little bit more. And that's going to be a Rift Herald for free over to the side of Spaceman Spiff. And they're going to drop it mid, and they're going to look to force this with their Rise and their Misfortune, both of whom are fairly big right now. They're going to push Gelati off the turret with the Warwick, and they're going to drop the first turret here, courtesy of the Rift Herald. That's another 1,000 gold.
Charge off.
And are they going to walk up to get another charge off? I think they're going to fall back and just call it safe because they know that Tuba's walked down, and that Malphite ulti could be a big problem.
Did get the charge off, though.
On the other side, however, Rixie and Bixby sticking around, making sure that they get the turret back. But the flash ult forward off of the Warwick secures Rixie, despite the fact that he does manage to E away, so the follow-up damage isn't there. Ulti comes out of the Nocturne, though, and there's the Galio. Flash comes out, ultimate comes off of the Misfortune, but it's not quite enough damage. Gelati dashing forward, scared her off. But the Ornhorn comes out, knocks 3 up, and they're going back in. That's Koite going for the dive. Ace Pat jumps through. They manage to knock down Gelati. The rest of Hangin with Friends are limping away, but it's a 1-for-1 after everything's expended on both sides.
They're not holding nothing back. We scrapping today, boys.
On the top side of the map, though, Tuba slapping this turret, looking like he's going to take a turret for his trouble. But Koite with the spellbook has swapped back to TP, and actually that looks like that's Solaria Yuzu's TP going up there to punish that Malphite for being a Malphite on the rise, like you suggested earlier. So the second 2 Nocturne ults going off fairly successfully, but across the team, not necessarily benefiting them, as one leads to a Dragon Steal and 3 deaths, and the second one turns into a 1v1 trade. After all said and
we're
done-
holding. We're holding. Oh, we find Bixby.
Oh, but the walk up, the bubble just misses as Tyson misses just wide on the bubble. Rixie ease forward to deal a little bit more damage. And as Mayor of Huevos is chasing Solaria Yuzu down here, but Solaria's going to walk away, nothing more happening. And it looks like Mayor of Huevos and Tuba are going to go up to take this top turret, as all of Spaceman Spiff is off of the map right now in places that they can't get to it in time. But Spaceman Spiff setting up around the dragon, knowing that that's coming up soon, and with 2 dragons already in Hangin with Friends' pocket. This is a big early dragon for them to deny the soul point. Solaria Yuzu goes forward, finds Bixby and Gelati, but has to get away because that's just not enough damage yet, as Tuba drops top turret, and Spaceman Spiff start collapsing around this 3rd dragon.
Tuba has to book it. He doesn't have teleport, so he has to just run straight to the dragon pit.
Gelati ultimate about to come off cooldown in time for this fight. The Malphite is up, and TPs are down on both Tuba and Gelati. Spaceman Spiff realizing that they have the advantage right now, just trying to rush this dragon down and force it. They know that there's a huge mid-wave. Tuba's not going to get there in time. Another ultimate down, again! Another steal comes down off of Mayor of Huevos as Koite hits the Ornhorn into 3 on the backside, and they're going to try to chase them down. Rixie's going to fall,
coming in on the side.
but not quite. The Karma gets off just in time. Solaria Yuzu knocks one down, and Gelati
Malphite ult down.
Gets out. Malphite ult down as Solaria Yuzu flashes it. That's going to be another 3-for-1, but the dragon goes over again to Hangin with Friends, despite the fact that they get knocked down. Ace Pat here on the hunt, looking for Gelati as they're pushing this turret 5 strong. The Warwick ulti just goes wide and gets into the backline, but Ace Pat shuts himself down, diving under 2 turrets without the rest of his team, trying to get a little bit greedy onto Gelati and Tuba. As Solaria Yuzu tries to get some choke off, the turret falls, the MF ultimate comes through. Mayor of Huevos is too far forward. It's going to be too much damage. The Tidsy's absolutely insane on this MF, doing huge amounts of damage, and Spaceman Spiff's going to walk away from another 1-for-1 trade as the junglers both fall for getting a little too aggressive.
So I do have to say though, the fact that Mayor of Huevos has now stolen 2 Drakes, it has now put them at soul point. Like this is insane performance from him to be able to steal both under that much pressure.
Both of those steals from Mayor of Huevos have been absolutely huge. They're kind of the only things keeping Hanging with Friends in this game. That's the only reason that it is a game. At this point, though, similar to a game we saw earlier, it might almost be in the favor of Spaceman Spiff to let the Mountain Soul go over and try to prioritize that early Drake, because that Elder Drake could be a game ender with the amount of damage that the Tidzy can put out with that MF ultimate.
Yeah, because looking at it, there's not too much in terms of damage right now. Like they're really far behind in gold for Hanging with Friends. So the shield isn't going to be that much. It's going to be like 3, maybe 400 at best. That's nothing for this team right now.
Yeah, the shield really is helpful onto the Malphite. It's a little bit helpful onto the Galio, but the rest of their team not particularly benefiting from the shield. It would have been much better for them if this were going to be a Cloud Soul that would come up. As Spaceman Spiff siege the top turret, Rixie attempting to clear the wave, and they're going to back up as they can't see the rest of the team. But Koite matching Tuba in the bot lane, TP up on both champions, TP up on Gelati, not quite up on Solaire Yuzu yet, but Solaire Yuzu's walking down to try to catch this Malphite. But the ultimate comes in from Mayor of Huevos, so does Gelati's ultimate on top of it. Mayor of Huevos
almost down.
Limps out. TP's coming in out of Orange, Tuba's already there, and the Malphite ultimate goes in, but Gelati's down. Koite goes forward onto Rixie, Orange chasing down the Ezreal, but that's going to be another kill for Ace Pat, chasing down these low health targets.
They found Huevos.
And Huevos is going to go also as the Blood Hunt comes through, and the Warwick is on the hunt. Mayor, and it may not be the hunt that he wanted, but Ace Pat on a roll, hunting people down on this Warwick. And that's going to be a really, really early fast Baron for them. And with the Baron buff, that pushes the lead to 6,000 gold in favor of Spaceman Spiff, looking like they weren't a flash in the pan, looking like that last week toppling of Hanging with Friends wasn't the David and Goliath story that we thought. This just looks like they're the kryptonite that Hanging with Friends can't handle.
Oh my god. So I'm just thinking about all the matches in the past between Ace Pat and Boozle Bamboozle versus Tuba and Friends. Like, we have... I say we because I've also been a part of their team a number of times. Hold up. We got a little bit of a skirmish happening.
A little bit of a catch going on to Koite here as Solaire Yuzu and Koite try to get out, but it's not quite enough speed. The Ezreal ulti comes out. That's going to be Solaire Yuzu falling in a bad spot. Koite's in a bad spot also, but he manages to get over the wall. Healed from Misfortune, saves his life just barely as Mayor of Huevos ultimate, but tries to jump in and gets deleted by the ultimate of Tidzy as Tidzy tries to fight back, but Tuba's absolutely massive. The ultimate comes out off of Ace Pat to keep Tidzy alive, but Gelati walks forward, gets the Tods off, but gets blown up by the damage that comes out of the Tidzy as they continue running forward. Spaceman Spiff realizing that they're on the hunt now. This Warwick is too fast, and they're running away. The Ezreal poke keeping them down, but it's going to be enough to get the disengage, and it's going to wind up being a 2-for-2, despite the fact that Solaire Yuzu and Koite were caught in a horrible position. And this is going to allow Ace Pat and the Tidzy to run down and secure this dragon for free. Although possibly not for free, because it looks like they're not willing to give it up. Hanging with Friends coming. There's a big Tuba right there. Tidzy gets a little too far forward. Tidzy walks up, and that's going to be a huge shutdown for Tuba onto the Misfortune off of Tidzy getting a little too greedy and not staying with their peel. Taisa off in the mid lane, and Ace Pat's here trying to look for a way into steal.
Yeah, I think this is their soul point dragon, as you said before. Pat is trying to do something, but is not able to get it.
There comes the Galio ulti. That's another huge shutdown. Tuba's not going to die. The shields from Karma are enough to keep him up, and that's 2 huge shutdowns. That's 2,000 gold worth of kills.
Solaire, what are you doing?
And Solaire Yuzu, yeah, off wandering around in the mid lane, pushing, and this is going to be a 5. They cut that lead to 5,000. That was a negative power play for Spaceman Spiff, losing the dragon, losing the kills, losing gold. and it's a 6,000 gold lead when the dust settles, and the Mountain Soul over to Hangin with Friends. I know I said it wasn't the worst thing to happen for him, but it doesn't look like they wanted it to happen.
Yeah, so point of question that should be asked. So Solaire was pushing in top lane and mid lane. He used teleport to get to those. I'm like, okay, fine, I guess. You know, you've already lost the dragon, so yeah, sure, push it. He did get the top lane inner tower, but then he kind of just wandered around when there was 2 huge waves for both top and mid lane. Like, he could have gotten one of those 2 towers.
Up, game paused. It looks like we have
Something happened
shenanigans
in the
going
mouse
on
set.
outside for the Taisa, and it's requiring them to go attend to that. But looking back at the current Dragon Soul, these have been some huge plays around the Dragon for Hanging with Friends to get to where they're at. 2 major steals by Mayor of Huevos with the Nocturne ult. And then that last one was just the Tidsy getting a little bit too greedy and walking into the same spot that they died earlier in the game
That's
for
right.
only their second death. That little area right off the river, not the friend of the Tidsy this game.
No, and just taking stock at the value of the Mountain Drake. So it's really only giving a shield of about 200 to 300 right now for all of the champions. Even for the Malphite, it's only giving him about 300. This is nothing for them. Like, that's 1 auto from hell, even from Rise. So it's really not providing too much.
And as we get back underway, I think that the person that it's biggest for is actually Gelati, given the fact that that's extra damage reduction on a Galio that needs just a little bit of extra damage reduction, being 2 levels behind on the Rise right now, and only having the Zanyas and the Hex Tech completed. But as we get back underway here, there are no major objectives on the map. Baron should spawn before the Elder Drake. And
Right.
Spaceman, Spiff, and Hanging with Friends left wandering around a little aimless here as the 6,000 gold lead floats in the ether. And neither team has a neutral objective to contest.
Alright, Ornn is getting to his upgrades now, gave the Infinity Edge to Misfortune. Or is that Infernal Edge? Molten
Edge. And that seems to be the best call, and the only thing that is upgradable right now.
Yeah.
The mid laner, Rise, doesn't build traditionally upgradable things. Neither does the Warwick.
He may build like a Rod of Ages just because it does scale just fine for him, because deal bonus, his maximum mana is increased by 5% per 100 AP. So the Rabadons wouldn't be a bad idea. That or Zonias for him. Taisa isn't really going to build anything other than
Rixie
maybe...
ease forward, big aggressive play, has to flash, has to heal, almost gets bursted out.
Gotta be careful for that Malphite. Gotta keep watching.
As Ace Pat runs forward, trying to get into the back line there. The tube is there, the Ornhorn comes out. Big Ornhorn goes in. Ace Pat deep in the back line, but Taisa kills Tuba. Rixie knocks down Ace Pat. They're still going forward, however. A flash forward out of Solaire Yuzu as another kill goes over to Taisa as Karma falls. Gelati trying to stay under the turret, but Koite is just absolutely massive, and the turret does not hurt this Ornn. A triple kill over to the support Nani as the turret falls, just tickling Ornn the entire time. The Tidsy continuing to auto it down as the next, as the inhibitor's gonna fall. They're gonna look towards the top lane where there's a little bit of a wave. They're gonna move the wave and they're gonna use Ornn to continue tanking this, and they're gonna knock down another inhibitor turret. Solaire Yuzu a little too separated from the team, takes chunk off of the Ezreal, but the Ornn's still there. This turret's still gonna fall. Mayor of Huevos is there. Bixby and Tuba are just about to come up, so Spaceman Spiff falling back as the rest of the team comes up for Hanging with Friends. Notably,
TP from Malphite.
Gelati and Tuba aren't up yet, but the TP from Malphite comes out as he's attempting to flank. He's gonna ult forward. He only catches the Ornn, gets the slowdown on Solaire Yuzu, but they're bursting him out. He's at half health. He's gonna fall before anything can happen. The TP's coming in from Gelati, but they've already lost one. This is now a 5v4. Gelati dashes forward, but Koite flashes out, dodges all of the CC, and gets sped up by Taisa. They continue running, and there's supers in the base, so Gelati and now has to back after TPing in and not being able to get anything off of the TP.
They may go for Baron here. Like, they have to go respond to the base.
Ace Pat and the Tidsy walk up to try to two-man the Baron as the rest of their team is resetting. TP comes in off of the Ornn. TP is going to come in off of the Rise also as Spaceman and Spiff using their map pressure and their TP advantage to reset, spend their gold, get everybody back on the map. And that's a huge buy. Ornn finishes the Locket. Rise with the needlessly large rod. Warwick finishing the Spirit Visage. That's another Baron Nashor that they take. Another huge fight. And this gold lead is now 9.5k in the favor of Spaceman Spiff.
What an incredible start to this series so far. Spaceman Spiff coming out saying, because you didn't see, there was if we had a Twitter for our players here a few days ago, Pat here was like, yeah, I think we have time to win 2 games Sunday night, and he's looking to start that now with game 1 looking pretty convincing for them.
Yeah, Spaceman Spiff showing that they might be the Goliath, not the David, in this confrontation. As they set up around the Elder, this dragon really is probably the deciding factor for the game. It's going to be the first 5v5 we've had in a while, as most of these fights have began on picks on either side. But Tuba chases down Pat, gets feared.
Needs to watch for the
tries to get
ultimate.
a little bit of poke. Tice's ulti
They're all
goes
stuck on
wide.
each other.
And a
4-man
ulti from Malphite, which leads into a 4-man ulti from Galio. And that's also going to be a shutdown for the Nocturne. But Ace Pat and Solari Yuzu are still up. That's a double kill for Gelati now. Vixie's going to come up, and that's going to be a 5-for-0 as an ace comes through. Hanging with friends. Ace! Spaceman Spiff, despite the 10k gold separation, it's now a 6k gold separation. This is going to be an Elder Drake as well for them.
What were they doing there? Like that? So they knew that Malphite was there. Like, Warwick literally just pushed him over into that bush. You're all clumped up, waiting for him to just ult onto all of you.
Notably, the Tidsy dies with ult up. Solari Yuzu, the Rise, dies with ult up. That was perfectly stacked ults by Malphite and Galio, with Tuba flying in and Gelati flying in right on his heels to keep them in the air. They juggled Spaceman Spiff until they were ready to get the kill. And that Elder Dragon is going to be a huge problem for Spaceman Spiff, as the gold lead is now whittled to 4,000 and an Elder Drake is on Hangin' with Friends. The Dragon Pit, not Spaceman Spiff's friend this game.
No, it's not.
They've picked up a couple of important kills around there, but they've also thrown every objective fight that they've had in the area.
Yes, their friend is the Baron Pit, as they haven't lost one there yet. I put a little asterisk there just because it's a yet.
And Tuba and Gelati just continuing to scale as the ults are back up for Hangin' with Friends, attempting to siege up this turret with the Elder Dragon ult. Tidsy ults just to clear the wave, and that's going to help save this turret, but that's a big ulti to be without, especially when you're trying to deny a fight.
Blue team's inhibitors respawning soon.
We do actually see a bunch of stopwatches coming out from the side of Spaceman Spiff now. They're like, okay, we need to, like, if we do get jumped on like that, we need to be able to stop it somehow.
And unfortunately, the stopwatch is on the Koite and Acepat, who are the two tanky members, the Ornn and the Warwick of that didn't die in that first rotation. It's really going to be on the Tidsy and Solari, Yuzu, and Taisa not to be grouped in a point where Malphite goes forward again, only hits 2 this time, but Tidsy manages to get out. Mayor of Huevos knocks down Tidsy, and that's going to burn the Warwick ulti goes wide, and as Elder Drakes come through knocking people down, they're under the turret. The turret still hasn't fallen, so they're in the base having to tank the turret. But they managed to pick up the Tidsy, they managed to pick up Solari Yuzu. There's no damage left on the side of Spaceman Spiff. The Elder Dragon buff is still on Hangin' with Friends as they're going to attempt to end here. Another huge Malphite ulti from the Tuba, setting up a big play.
that's looking closer and closer
Oh,
to being the end
Mayor
of
of
this
Huevos
set.
gets knocked down though. Quinte getting damaged, but he flashes away from the Tuba's ulti.
Wait, Elder's
and
down,
Tuba's out.
Elder's down.
Elder's off. Rixian is trying to kill Acepat. Tuba finally catches Tysa under the turret. Rixie finally gets Acepat up, but Tudsy's back up. Quinte and the Tidsy are here to chase them down. They're gonna possibly be able to delay this, but that was a huge chunk onto the Tidsy, and at half health, they're gonna have to look to just hold their base and hope that the next big objective, the next big fight goes more their way. As Solaire they're trying to chase Rixie here, but Solaire Yuzu's the only one to take it. The rest of the team realizes that might be a little bit questionable. Righteous Glory comes out, still looking for the catch. Tuva's waiting in the bush as they try to set up a catch, but Solaire Yuzu sniffs out the fact that that might be a little too far forward, and they're better off pulling off and resetting for the Baron, as their gold lead has been cut from 10,000 to 1,000 in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's the big swing that they were waiting for. Like the first 4-man catch with Tuba's ultimate into Galio, and then another huge one after the Elder buff. Like that's the comeback that we were all like kind of waiting for. But this is what they can do. Like their team fight is just that good that they can just do that.
I think the really big thing here that's been happening is the fact that Gelati and Tuba and Mayor of Huevos all stacked those ultimates so well and managed to go so far into the backline that Tidsy flashed away and healed and got under turret, and it was just barely enough to burn Mayor of Huevos' GA, not even to get the kill back.
And they have to watch it because there's 2 wards sitting out in their base. While there isn't too much pressure from a mouth fight trying to end it, the fact that they have
Solaire Yuzu out of position. Tuba ults onto 1. Mayor of Huevos follows in, but that's going to be 2 big ultimates down just to kill the Rise out of the mid lane. That may or may not come back to bite them depending on how this next fight goes. Yornhorn comes back, knocks up 2, gets the disengage. The Tidsy's trying to damage Tuba, but he's just too tanky. Acepat goes forward, but the Warwick's finally starting to fall off. Can't manage to deal any damage and isn't tanky enough. Tuba slows the Tidsy, they're running forward. Tysa lands the bubble. The ultimate comes out of the Tidsy. They knock down Mayor of Huevos. They chunk out Gelati. Rixie's walked up forward. A huge bubble comes out of the Tysa as they heal. Orange shuts down Rixie. Tuba falls to Tysa. This actually is a fight that's going back in favor. Those 2 ultimates that they used to catch the Rise, not worth it. All they're able to do is knock down Acepat, but then Tysa and the Tidsy are able to kite them back with Quinte in the front line, and that goes 3 for 2 in the favor of Spaceman Spiff as another Elder Dragon spawns in 10 seconds, and Mayor of Huevos and Tuba and Rixie will not be up to contest it.
Here I think you immediately just say, screw Baron, we gotta go for Elder. We gotta have that damage buff. If we have that, then it feels a lot more cleaner for them to win fights.
And they definitely know that. They dropped the pink, so despite the ward that Bixby leaves, they're just going to be able to rush this down. Gelati knows there's nothing that he can do. He's up trying to push top wave, trying to get a turret back out of this. But this is going to be Elder Dragon over to Spaceman Spiff. Tuba's still not up. They're going to run straight up to the Baron here, and they're going to be able to take Baron as well. It's going to be double neutral endgame buffs, and this is a 2nd level Elder Drake for them.
I thought it was it's the first one per team, not overall.
You could be right. I'm not sure. I can't remember the last time I saw a second Elder Drake.
You think, okay, first Elder, it's done.
Yeah, normally that's what happens. But they sniff out the Tuba. They go forward.
Disney does not have flash yet.
The Orn comes up. Disney gets absolutely blown up. And Tuba's in the back line. Acepat dies. And this might actually be a bit of a throw here, as Solaire Yuzu's on the back line trying to fight the Karma, but can't manage to. Quinte's running away with Tysa trying to do damage. Quinte turns around, walks forward. Big bubble, but it's not going to be enough. And a really, really questionable position by the Tidsy allows the stacked ultimates to knock the Tidsy down. And that's going to be a 3 for 0 on the side of Hangin with Friends, despite the Elder buff. As Hangin with Friends takes advantage of Spaceman Spiff's miscommunication and poor positioning.
Yeah, they're looking to end it here. do have 10 seconds left for Didzy and Pat, so we're going to see if Solaire can hold off just for that little bit long. Doesn't look
But
like it.
notably, Tuba's ult is back up, and Tuba goes forward, Solaire flashes away, and Hangin with friends from behind, still 2,000 gold behind, managed to knock down the Nexus of Spaceman Spiff and take the first game in a back and forth battle where Hangin with friends manages to come back from down 10,000 gold and win.
Holy shit, that was a game. All right. That was an exciting match, and I want to see it again for games 2, and I want to see a game 3 because I want more of that kind of stuff. But I don't know if Play by Play wants to see more of that.
I don't know if I can survive 2 more of those games.
We will take a short break, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere for game 2 in just a few minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this exciting series between Hanging with Friends and Spaceman Spiff. I'm Ansa571.
And I am Cage the Caged Reaper.
And that was as exciting of a game as we could want from these two squads here tonight.
Looking back at the last game, I would like to see Spaceman Spiff do something about that Ezreal. I know that Ezreal is one of the favorite champions of Rixie, and it looked absolutely destructive in that game.
So the problem is that you have to get rid of the Yuumi, which is a much bigger issue for them. But they do need a better plan to deal with the fact that Misfortune doesn't have a blink like Ezreal does. So they need to play around his flash more. Like, he needs to communicate that better, because several of those fights could have been different if he had flash, especially that last fight just after Spaceman Spiff took the Elder Drake and we're setting up around Baron. It was almost up just a couple extra seconds, and then they would have been fine.
I definitely agree. I think that they can afford to give the Yuumi up as long as they don't give up the Yuumi and the Ezreal together. I feel like after the recent nerfs on Yuumi, the champion, while still strong, is nowhere near the level of dominant that it used to be.
So we are getting ready to get into draft. Just need to wait for everybody to get into the lobby, and then we will be ready to get underway. So I think that the draft was fine, just that final bit of execution for Spaceman Smith. Like, they almost had it, just need to bring it over the finish line.
I agree with you. Spaceman Spiff definitely had that game in their teeth and were ready to walk across the finish line with it. But the Tidzy, with an unfortunate face check into that bush as they're trying to set up for the Drake, cost them a little bit. They stacked up a little bit again near that Drake pit where they ate that first Malphite Galio combo that really is what turned the game against them. And they were just never able to recover after that 4-man Wombo combo got them, and they lost that first Elder Dragon. Although I suppose that's actually not giving credit to the Nocturne and the couple of steals that he had on Dragons to set up that in the first place.
Yeah, stealing not one but two Drakes, that just helped them so much.
So moving forward, I think that while draft kind of went the way that both teams wanted, I would like to see Hangin with Friends probably ban out that Ornn. I know we said Koite doesn't play it, but
yeah, but now that we've seen it.
Yeah, now that we've seen it, the Ornn was clean and destructive, and I think almost more of a problem than the Set or the Silas even could potentially be if they're going to give them Nami and Misfortune. Those ultimates stack far too well. I liked the Nocturne steal away from the Warwick. I don't know if they'll get that again, and I'm interested to see which side of the matchup Spaceman Spiff opts into playing.
So we do actually see them. I have an answer for you with that right now. Spaceman Spiff will be electing to take blue side for game 2, and we do have everybody into the lobby. So now we're getting ready for the pro draft.
If you're Spaceman Spiff, what's your first pick?
Nocturne.
I think that that's the best first pick that they could possibly take.
Because, so with that, you take the Nocturne, and I personally don't know Tuba to play Ornn, so you can actually pick both Nocturne and Ornn, which is such a potent combo.
And as we get in here, we're going to see if the bans have changed from either team. I would expect 2 or 3 of the bans to stay the same from both teams. As Rumble goes down, Kha'Zix goes down, you have to imagine the Karthus is going to follow. And then, are we going to see another Silas ban? It looks like we are. And the Yuumi again. So it feels either they're going to first pick the Ezreal, or they weren't as concerned about it as possible.
And they
with
took away
friends,
the Nocturne.
No, they don't want to see that Nocturne. They know that Ace Pat on Nocturne and Kha'Zix is at his best, and they want to force him to play something that's a little bit more out of his comfort zone.
Now comes the question, what do they pick up first? And they pick up Set. Now, while Ace can play set, that's more so for Koite. Like, so you can put that as a 90%. Yes, this is going to be for Koite.
It's also a huge denial from Mayor of Huevos, who's known to play it in the jungle.
That is true. And it's not like Taisa plays set as a support, so you're not going to expect it to go there either.
And the Ezreal pick, first and foremost, pairing with the Karma again on Hanging with Friends. Although, once again, I still don't trust that that's guaranteed to be a bot lane Karma.
Yeah, so now you do at least know what the AD is, and it was still an effective bottom lane for Hanging with Friends. So now we're going to see a Caitlyn. I personally don't agree with that. Like, even though, as you can attest, Caitlyn did perform in our series, it's not as powerful as a pick.
I think that that's more of a Nami synergy pick where they're hoping to lock the Ezreal or the Karma in place so that they can actually kill something. Because frequently in that last series, the Tidzy was just unable to convert on a kill because Miss Fortune's speed boost doesn't matter when you have a Karma sprinting everybody away from the fight.
And we do get the Volibear for Hanging with Friends. I don't know if that's for Tuba or Huevos. I haven't been checking on who's been playing that, but I think that that's going to be Huevos on the Volibear.
I would love to see Tuba play it. I think that it plays into his typical style of play, and the champion itself is just incredibly overpowered at the moment.
Oh
But
yeah, so after the hotfix, it's way overtuned.
But I do think that it's likely to be in the jungle where its typical domain is. But it'll be interesting to see how the ultimate gets used to jump over Nami walls, because I would imagine that that's going to be the primary usage of it, is to get out of a Nami disengage.
And once again, Hanging with Friends, they banned the Annie, and that's kind of a waste ban. That's unfortunate.
And there's the Galio ban. I think it's a really good call after the way that Galio crashed in and wrecked things against them in the last game. They're willing to see the Malphite again, but the Galio is not an acceptable pick.
I think it was because it was that follow-up engagement that Galio gave to them. Like the initial, there we go. That's a Zillion mid lane. That's for Mr. Gelati. Wait, that means that there's probably going to be a Mundo top lane.
And they're just going to sprint at them. Volibear with the Zillion and the Karma is going to be next to impossible to catch up with. And Set's movement is going to be significantly in question if all he can do is chase sped up enemies all game. And Hecarim comes through.
Ooh, this is a classic pat on this champion here. Like that's an old one there. He loved this champion for the long time. This and Jin Jiao, like this is one of his classic. I'm super happy for him right now, and we got an Akali for the mid lane in Solaire, so that's going to be a very potent mid lane into the Zillion as well.
And I know that the last time these two teams ran into each other, Akali was the pickup other than the Rise that they opted into. And this is going to be a Renekton out of Tuba in the top lane. One of those bruisers that he's known for absolutely abusing people with. Oh, this is going to be a wild one.
This is going to be a fight. Because with the Renekton, empowered W can break the set shield, yada yada yada. But the Zillion and the Volibear combo is going to be really, really insane to watch. Fun fact for lore, they hate each other. At least in the old lore. I don't know what the new lore is.
I don't know the new lore well enough to argue with you. I think at this point in the lore, they're from such different locations that it would be hard for them to hate each other. But it could still hold true.
Remember when League of Legends had lore?
Had like actual lore instead of a bunch of different multimedia masquerading as lore?
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember those days. And they used to have their like weekly lore flyer that you could click on in the client.
Yep. This guy remembers.
Oh, the good old days. I miss that client. I don't miss that rift, but I miss that client.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Literally looked like somebody had picked it up out of what was it, Warcraft 3, and just dropped it into a different game.
Original Dota.
Yeah, original Dota. But I think that after the very slow start to the first game, where we saw one kill in the first 15 minutes before the bloodbath began, this one looks to be a bit of a fiesta early with the Hecarim, the Akali, the Set, the Renekton, and they're all going to be trying to trade.
And Volibear,
The
the fact that
Volibear,
like he can disable towers, that's you're going in.
it's going to be interesting
Ooh,
to see how the
okay.
itemization comes through.
Once again, GG Riot client.
Did you think it was a top Hecarim?
Yes. Hold on, I'm gonna Gaiazo this.
I know top Hecarim is a thing right now, and you know, if it were our team players anonymous playing it, you'd be far more likely to see a top Hecarim and a jungle set than a top set and a jungle Hecarim, because we're just backwards like that. But I think both teams draft really clear win conditions. Spaceman Spiff wants to get picks off all around the map. They don't necessarily want a front to back team fight. They want to split, skirmish, 1-3-1. And Hanging with Friends, once again, want to all hang with their friends and stick together and try to run down the enemy team. And I
So the
wish I
thing is that I actually kind of do, like for Hanging with Friends, is that they have both engage and disengage, whereas Spaceman Spiff, they realistically only have engage. Yeah, Nami can help to peel, but that is not full like hard stop disengage other than her ultimate.
yeah, it will be very, very interesting as to what they do in this game, because there is much more options out of the side of Hanging with Friends with their ability to just run at the enemy team. The Nami ults out of Taisa are going to be absolutely the most important part of this game, I think. The combination of the Hecarim ult and the Nami ult could be what winds up being the game turning factors.
As everybody is choosing their loadouts, we are going to go ahead and be in that 3-minute delay. So what interesting news of League of Legends do you have for us today?
Oh, I don't have a whole lot going on as far as League of Legends goes. I think that the recent patch definitely changed some priorities around the mid lane and around the bot lane. Syndra is no longer the threat that she was, in my opinion, and the same with Yumi. So I don't know. I don't know if I would put as much pressure on them as Spaceman Spiff is. I know that the Syndra Qs costing a lot more is throwing a lot of Syndra players off, which I love because I hate that champion.
As do many, but as we know, it's Riot. They will buff Cinder back again in time for Worlds.
Yeah, they just have a hard on for that champion. It's just one of
That
those
and
champions.
Oriana.
Yep, it's one of those champions that they'll never let fall far enough out of viability that we can ignore it for a little while. And I've never understood why Riot has certain champions that they have to keep viable like that, because most of them tend to be either unbalanceable or unbalanceable in team play.
Yeah, so like that's actually one of the problems that they have with Aphelios right now. So like he is stupid overpowered in team settings, but he isn't doing that much anymore in solo queue. He's not the terror of 200 years. But as they have been nerfing his numbers, people have been getting better at him. So it's like, well, what do we do now?
And that's the frequent curve that happens with a lot of champions is they come out and people are so bad at them that they buff them until they're overpowered. And then once they're overpowered, people start learning it. They become so broken that it takes a huge nerf wave. And frequently that wave of nerfs is only enough to knock them down for a patch or so until people reacclimate to them. And the thing with Riot now is lately the kits that they're giving champions are so overloaded with what they provide in terms of utility or versatility that you can't plan around them or draft around them the way that you used to when this was countered by this. Volibear runs at you, so you stun him and run away.
Yeah, so like I think the best example of that is Aatrox, where they like when they did the full rework of him, the first tournament was like a mid-season tournament cup, and they tried to play him, and it just looked silly. Like everyone was laughing, casters and viewers alike. But by the time it got to Worlds, he was so overtuned that him as well as Akali were must pick or ban. And if you couldn't play them, then you were trolling.
And at this point, they wound up having to take his revive away down the road because they couldn't manage to balance the champion short of just completely changing his identity.
But enough of League of Legends outside of this game. Let's get on into it. Spaceman Spiff taking on Hanging with Friends. Currently 0-1 for Spaceman Spiff. Will Spaceman Spiff actually get a win in the series and try to go to Game 3, or will Hanging with Friends cruise on into the finals? Let's find out in this best of 3 series.
If we can get past the 90% loading screen again.
We will see.
There we go. We're up at 98%, but still not quite enough. I like the Northern Storm Volibear rework. I haven't seen that yet. And the Hex Tech Renekton looking real fancy also.
Ooh, the Nurse Akali. So we know that he recently spent some money.
But on the flip side, what is Ace Pat and Koite doing? Those naked champions are so ugly.
Damn it, Pat. Koite is a college student, so I'll forgive him. But Pat, no, he is a fully grown, functioning adult.
And Koite's playing a newish champion. Not everybody has skins on that. But Pat, if you're an old hand at playing this Hecarim champ, where's the skin? And as we load onto the map, a bunch of pings coming out from Hangin' with Friends, indicating that either they're spam pinging each other or they're planning on trying to invade.
So I've been writing notes down for after game interviews for both teams. For Spaceman Spiff, I currently have 2 questions. One, why did you allow Tidzy to go and commit Sudoku game 1 for First Blood? And then the second question is, why no skin Pat?
I think that those are 2 really, really strong questions. I think that for our post-game interview on Tuba and Friends, it should be what
How did it feel
happened?
to get the forward-man ultimates?
Yeah, what happened in that fight when that 4-man Malphite ultimate goes down? Can you reenact in a PC or healthy manner that play call?
Oh, I gotta go!
Because I imagine that Tuba and Gelati were screaming at the top of their lungs.
Gelati is a very reserved kind of a guy. He doesn't do that. Tuba pops off when he does stuff like that every now and again. So I definitely agree it would be him. Gelati would just be like, shut up!
And then Mayor of Huevos flying in on the Nocturne with the steals. That's the other question. Yeah.
And we see Tuba and Gelati swapped. They were not having this matchup for them.
Oh, and this is terrible for Solaire. That Akali lane. Renekton is one of my least favorite champions to match up into on an assassin in the mid lane because he heals so much and he deals so much damage that you blink and all of a sudden you're dead and he's back at full health.
Yeah, I would be like, as soon as we have the opportunity to back for both of them, just immediately call for a swap.
And I would agree with that. And if that winds up being the case, oh, Koite with a great E to chunk Gelati out. But Gelati doing Gelati things just runs back, pops a corrupting potion, and continues to farm.
No corrupting potion, sir. Do you not
No?
see? He
Is that
has
a regular
ring.
potion?
That's a regular
Oh.
potion.
That is a regular potion. I did not check. It just looked like the corrupting bubbles. It might have been a biscuit that he was eating also that confused me. Tidesy and the Tidsy doing much better in this bot lane. Tysa
By the
and
end of this
Tidsy.
match, you're going to pronounce
my
their
God.
names correctly.
I think that's a vast overestimation of my skills. But Bixby and
Volibear coming
Rixie
in.
are almost as bad. The Volibear ganking, flash from Tysa, turn flash, the heal comes out of the Tidsy, and first blood goes over to Rixie after the Tidsy and Tysa bully Bixby and Rixie significantly in the early game. This bot lane, I'm leaving. I can't handle it.
No, it's okay. It's kind of like
And a dive
Naya
in bot
and Naira.
lane
Oh,
as
the Triumph got him.
Koite
The Triumph got him.
manages to live using the Facebreaker and Triumph, and Ace Pat dives on the Hecarim to get the return kill. The Tidsy in trouble here though as 4 men go bot, and Bixby steps onto the trap to bait him forward. Rixie jumps forward, Mayor of Huevos in the back. The Q, the stun, the
And
chomp.
Tuba.
Tuba shows up to KS despite the fact that he's a scumbag who didn't help with the rest of the kill, just wanted to KS. And he's gonna leave, and that's 2 kills against the bot lane as a big wave begins to crash.
Tysa trying to poke Rixie with what he can, get that money from his item.
And luckily for the Tidsy and Tysa, this wave is freezing just outside of turret range. And so the Tidsy will miss only a couple of minions, and that cull purchase won't be nearly as painful with a 10 minion wave to catch. And there's the switch you called for from Koite and Solaire, as they send Solaire into the top lane to punish the recently murdered Gelati.
Renekton actually picked up a Vamp Scepter, so either he's going to go Death Stance or Bork. What do you think he's going to do? I think Bork is better.
I think that Bork is better, especially into the current. Oh, Tysa and Bixby both playing with fire in such a terrifying manner. As
Tysa
both
went down below
supports-
10 HP.
Both supports managed to survive with minimal HP, and Tuba on the roam again is going to
Like,
find
I ain't dealing with this lane.
Ace Pat doing Krugs.
I do not do this lane.
Oh, this is
Wait a
stressful.
minute.
Ace
Hold
Pat
up.
push up, but Tuba flash.
Oh, he
goes to
flashed
the turret,
over.
but he gets bubbled, and he's gonna get the kill. But Tysa's gonna get the kill in return.
Hey.
So everything expended by Tuba, flash forward, and has to use his ignite because the bubble by Tysa, and Tysa manages to exhaust him and get the kill back. But Mayor of Huevos and Bixby taking advantage of this moment to be a little bit sneaky, knowing the Hecarim's dead. They're over here trying to sneak the dragon, and Mayor of Huevos spites it, securing first dragon for Hangin with Friends. This game off to a much faster start than our last, with 5 kills in 6 minutes and a dragon falling.
Not stolen either.
Not stolen either, good point. But Hangin with Friends once again.
Oh wait, Gelati doesn't have mana.
Gelati doesn't have mana, he's trying to run away, but Ace Pat's coming in. But the E from Hecarim expires before he gets there, and 3 men sent up top lane. No ultimates used, however, as Gelati is regenning tons of mana off of the biscuit.
Yikes, that's a lot of mana.
And
Oh,
Tuba
does get
on
a-
the roam. As they dive, Gelati's gonna pop up, and that's gonna be, they try to stall for the ulti, but they see Tuba there. Ulti falls off. Facebreaker comes out. They're sending a TP up. Ace Pat gets stuck onto the turret. Tuba manages to secure Ace Pat as Solaire Yuzu completes the teleport. But Tuba, wandering up to top lane, manages to knock one down.
Yeah, and then we do see Huevos actually stealing the red buff from Pat. So he's going to be missing that.
So as they contribute another dive towards killing the squishy early game Zilean under turret, they manage to get one back off of the roam by Taisa. Mayor of Huevos now here in this bush, walks up onto Taisa, but the heal
nice
comes
heal.
through, and there's the ultimate to dodge the CC, but Mayor of Huevos is going to get knocked down anyways as the Tidzy and Ace Pat try to trade back, but the smite onto Krugs heals him on the top lane. Koite shuts down the Renekton.
Wait, Solaire.
Yuzu comes flying in and gets the double kill on the Akali, looking for the triple. Gonna try to pick up Rixie as the shield comes out. Ace Pat comes through with the charge, stealing the kill away from the Tidzy. And that's gonna be Spaceman Spiff coming through with a huge collapse on a long fight as the Akali finally gets on the board.
Yeah, and gets on the board. Huge. Does pick up both the Volibear and the Karma. So that is just a nice pickup for her.
And on the other side, Koite now 3-0 on this set. Absolutely massive. Picking up the shutdown off of the Renekton also.
Yeah, he picked up the Haymaker off on him.
As Hanging with Friends decides that they're willing to opt into these more normal lanes now because sending Gelati top was not going well for the Zilean.
No, it was not.
But Mayor of Huevos continuing his invade, trying to keep this Hecarim down and farm, pinging out the blue buff. But Taisa's here. They find Ace Pat. Tuba and Mayor of Huevos are walking up, but they're going to try to chase down Taisa. Mayor of Huevos gets forward, but the flash comes out from Taisa, the exhaust. They can't go forward any further. Gelati's leveling up Tuba. The three are there, but Koite shadowing this, waiting for somebody to walk across this ward, knowing that they're here as they start to collapse. There's 4 Spaceman Spiff.
And here comes the Giant Fan!
Gelati's almost out of mana, and they ult the Zilean out of his teammates, and he's gonna fall. They're looking to pick up this blue buff now as the invade goes disastrously for Hanging with Friends.
And with that, a 4-0 start for Koite. Does get his Bork before the Renekton, so we're going to keep swapping around again. Just keep on doing what we do, you know? God. Stop swapping!
They do not like these lanes. They don't want Koite's set into Tuba's Renekton, and they know that the Akali into the Zilean just doesn't work out well for the Zilean either, so they're going to keep trying to get away from it. But Spaceman Spiff just is dedicated to countering the swap and trading it back. In the bot lane, however, the Tidzy and Taisa walking up as Mayor of Huevos comes down again. Tidzy flashes forward trying to get Bixby, but once again, Bixby just barely gets away with their life. And this bot lane getting absolutely abused as Rixie is now 3-1, looking to carry his team on the Ezreal again. And that trade happens right as the dragon's spawning, giving Mayor of Huevos and Rixie the ability to walk up to this dragon. Ace Pat looking top to try to make a play on Gelati again. They're going to give up this second dragon without even contesting it. But realizing the dragon's going down, Ace Pat makes the quick heads-up move to jump onto the Rift Herald as Tuba walks into his jungle, and they continue to farm this Hecarim's jungle away from him. But Ace Pat not perturbed, sitting just one level below Mayor of Huevos still, and over here looking to take a neutral objective. As 4 men looking to collapse mid on Solaire Yuzu, but Solaire feels the pressure, runs away out the top side, knowing that there's help over there. And nothing
does get the stun on Gelati. Holy crap, that's a lot of damage.
Koite ulting forward, running away from Gelati, and Gelati managing to survive, flashes forward, misses the bomb. Koite just gonna heal up off of this wave. No ult on Gelati as Ace Pat sets up to dive.
Oh wait, here comes the Ezreal ultimate.
Ezreal ultimate misses, and that's going to be a kill onto Ace Pat. But Ace Pat runs forward to save Koite's life, realizes that there's a huge shutdown on that set, and that it's better for him to fall as Koite walks away, tips his hat, and says, "Thank you, sir." And
Have a nice day.
Tuba trying to cancel this back. And Tuba and Koite looking at each other. Koite going, "All right, if it'll keep you up here, I might stay."
I see you. I see you, you see me.
Koite baiting the push and just going to stay up and keep taking the waves up here as Tuba starts to head back down to meet Gelati in the mid lane, collapsing on Slayer, who opts into backing so that Koite and Slayer can set up a swap if needed.
Ooh, so jumping in onto Taisa though.
This 3-in-1 Ezreal already on the Manamune, already with the Sheen.
Hecarim looking.
Hecarim looking to make a play here. Rixie walks forward, but he doesn't E forward. They sensed it, but they're going to go on to Bixby, which is the right call here. The ulti comes out, knocks him up. The trap comes down from the Tidzy. Tice is going to fall, however, to the trade back by Rixie, and they manage to take down one support, but not the second support. It's not quite enough, and this game stays on even footing. But Ace Pat sitting around here as Tidzy baits it forward. Rixie goes forward. Ace Pat realizing that he can't quite get away, but he manages. Jump forward, Mayor of Huevos with the ultimate. Ace Pat trying to get away, but the Q's too much. And there comes a TP also. Tidzy realizing that his only hope here is to get Rixie down, but the Zillion completes the ulti. Solaire Yuzu just trying to pick it up, waiting for the ult to wear off, manages to take the shutdown, jumps away. The Zillion ulti comes down, Koite with the TP now, and it's gonna wind up being a 2-for-1 in favor of Hangin with Friends. But the gold still sits slightly in the advantage of Spaceman Spiff because the shutdown off of Rixie was worth 3 kills in and of itself.
What a we get one F-bomb and I'm trying to save it, but oh my god, this is an insane game. 22 kills, 14, almost 15 minutes in. So this is what we always used to do against a Hanging with Friends team. You have to bring it to them because the constant aggression, if you're able to outfight them, you can win.
And it feels like that was the approach Spaceman Spiff took in the first game, was they were winning fights until they lost the ones that mattered at the end. This game, a much more even game state with them trading kills back and forth, Hanging with Friends, trying to keep the high aggression up because they realize that the Renekton falls off.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the Akali and the set are only going to get larger.
Ooh boy. Okay.
25 left on the Cole from the Tidzy.
Set, he did start winning that trade until he started losing that trade. And there goes to the trade.
Set with a slight advantage here, gonna stick around knowing that the ultimate's not on Renekton and that his ultimate is up. And he's gonna heal up using this Bork. As the sustain from the 2 top laners put on display. Koite running down to make sure that Tuba isn't in the jungle, stealing more away from his Hecarim. As the first turret finally falls at 16 minutes.
Oh,
but
incoming!
Hecarim's here. He gets the knockback. He gets the terror. They're going to pick up this kill onto Rixie as the shields come down. The ulti comes out. That's a shutdown onto the Hecarim. Bixie falls also. Taisa gets the kill off of Bixby. And Mayor of Huevos shows up, but he's too late. His bot lane took the first turret, but at the cost of their lives. He's going to run forward. Ultimate comes forward. He's trying to get the Tidzy, but he just can't quite manage to get on top of him. Has to flash out. They're chasing it down. Gelati shows up, though. So Solaire Yuzu having to make some real decisions here. Tuba flashes forward to get the stun and the kill onto Taisa. And the Ignite goes down on the Solaire Yuzu as Tuba shows up just in time to prevent a further dive and to punish Spaceman Spiff for their greed. They wind up losing one back. The dragon
they're-
is spawning, however.
Set is full HP, is on the backside. They don't see him. They did see that he put a ward down, but they still don't know exactly where he is. They will start to look for this this Drake, but Spaceman Spiff, their mid bot is coming in a little bit later, so they will have less priority.
Notably, the top laner's the only ultimates up at the moment, as Spaceman Spiff is debating whether they're willing to risk their lives to get this third dragon.
Yeah, they may just have to forego it.
And they decide to take the fight. A huge ult off of the set. They manage to catch Gelati, but the exhaust comes down. Flash forward.
Well, they did pick up
Gelati into the back line. As Solari Yuzu tries to catch Rixie over the wall. Koite's huge. He's healing too much. He can't be killed. And that's a double kill over to Solari Yuzu. The only one left is Chuba. He's trying to run away, but Ace Pat's coming forward. The snipe coming out off of the Caitlyn. A double kill on the Caitlyn. One kill over to Koite. A double kill onto Solari Yuzu. That's an ace. All they lost was a dragon for 5. And that's going to be a Rift Herald because Baron's not up yet.
All right, that was really good. I'm going to say that was really good from them for Spaceman Spiff. Like, Koite got a huge ultimate into the back line, got it off for a ultimate Renekton, I think, onto so many people. And with that, they're able to actually bring this to a 30 kill game now.
30 kills, 18 minutes. After the last game, we had 3 at 18 minutes. But we're starting to get to the point where things are going wild. Rift Herald falls. So that's going to be finally the first neutral objective over to Spaceman Spiff. But they're doing a really good job this game and last of seeding the dragons, and after giving up the dragon, turning the fight in their favor. Of note, the flashes and heals were down on the bot lane in that fight on the side of Hangin' with Friends, but they are up now, making Hangin' with Friends the only members, the bot lane of Hangin' with Friends, the only members with a flash at the moment.
What a set so far. Like, I know you as the play-by-play may not want to, but me as the color and as a spectator would love to see a third game of this. This is a great set to watch.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Koite on the set. But talking about the set of games, this has been absolutely wild. And at this point, I can't say that I would want to see it end after this one. It's insane. Koite on set 5-0-3. Solari Yuzu on the Akali 5-0-5. Absolute barn burner going on this game as the blue team summons the Rift Herald in the top lane to try to knock down that top turret that Gelati's hiding under.
Red team's turret has been
Going to set up a long flank, but getting spotted out by the Vision Ward. Ace Pat goes forward, sees Rixie, but decides not to go in 1v5.
They are trying to delay the Rift Herald. It will get its charge off, but now Set is going to get collapsed upon. Does take
Koite in a little bit of trouble here. Has to turn around and burn the shield. Rixie.
Oh no, he's gone.
Oh, that's going to be all she wrote as the Zillion Bomb lands on his head. Almost 1,000 gold onto the Zillion from that kill. But on the other side, Tuba falls to Solari Yuzu in the side lane. The Akali absolutely massive and doing work. Both top laners trying to get something done for their team, but getting a little too far ahead of themselves. And that's going to be another big kill over on the side of Spaceman Spiff.
Sometimes you have to go back to move forward.
Yeah, that was a impressive 1v1 on the bottom side for Solari Yuzu. Very clean fight for her to get that, and the stopwatch was used just to be sure that, you know, the Renekton didn't mysteriously took out half of her health.
Yeah, the Akali getting absolutely massive. 2 items finished, looking at her third, and almost ahead of the curve of anybody else in the game as far as damage goes. A full 1,500 gold up on her counterpart, the Zillion. Meanwhile, gold is even across just about every other position with the exception of a 1,000 gold lead in favor of Taisa on the Nami. But as this Soul Point Dragon spawns, or begins to spawn, it's Hangin with Friends getting vision and trying to make the first play, attempting to collapse on the Tidsy.
Getting collapsed on again.
Tidsy gets flashed on, flashes away, ease away, almost manages to get out, but the counter engage comes through as Solaire Yuzu's there and they knock down Bixby in return, and Ace Pat slain by Tuba. The Zillion ultimate comes off onto Rixie, but it's out too soon, so it's not going to get him healed. But the double bomb from Gelati comes through. Ace Pat and the Tidsy fall, but they manage to take Bixie back, and that's going to stall out just about anything that happens because Koite and Solaire Yuzu, the two left up on the side of Spaceman Spiff, are the true threats in this team right now.
Now
as Hangin with Friends
Point
attempts to make a play down towards the Soul Point.
Yeah, Volibear already on that Drake. He knows what's up. He knows what he needs to do. He knows he's got to go in there and
Koite walks forward, blind checks the bush, gets stunned by the Tuba and shut down. That's going to be a free soul over to the side of Hangin with Friends. That is not something that Spaceman Spiff wanted to give up. The ultis coming in off of the side of Hangin with Friends benefit hugely from this air Drake this time around, especially on the Volibear and the Renekton, who both transform to become bigger, more fighting versions of themselves.
Oh god, that just reminded me of that. They, with the CDR reduction plus the ultimate with the ultimate giving you a speed boost, like that's scary to think about for those two. Same with Zillion, just being able to ult somebody and have them zoom, zoom, zoom.
Especially the way that Zillion and Mayor of Huevos on the Volibear have been chasing people down. Him ulting and getting even more speed after jumping on top of you is going to be absolutely terrifying to deal with.
I wouldn't want that. Not me. Nope.
We talked about in draft how Hangin with Friends just drafted a run fast team and they got the run fast Dragon Soul on top of that. They're going to be really, really hard to chase down for this Akali, this set, and this Hecarim. It's going to have to come down to a really clever pick and layering of ults, I think, for Spaceman Spiff to pull this one out.
And Tidsy can't keep getting caught randomly like that. Pat does find Mayor Huevos, but isn't going to ult him back.
Look how fast that is!
Ooh, but does get a nice
ult on the Tuba, however, but falls down to the damage from the Ezreal. Gelati's gonna get bursted. Gets ulted into the backline as Koite knocks down two. The ulti comes out saving Gelati, but Koite walks back forward. Solaire Yuzu might fall. The auto goes golden to prevent the bomb and is gonna get away from Gelati, but Rixie manages to pick up a kill onto the onto Taisa as the Tidsy, Koite, and Solaire Yuzu walk away. Rixie on the chase, Gelati on the chase, knowing that they just have the damage. Huge face breaker though. Rixie falls as Koite does just enough damage to survive. Gelati trying to pick up a kill with these bombs, but it's not going to be enough. 4 for 2 in favor of Spaceman Spiff as a long drawn out fight goes in favor of Spaceman Spiff.
Squirrel Sensei, yes, this is a Pog set.
The set ultimates off of Koite have been absolutely game changing. I know Solaire Yuzu hasn't died yet and is turning out tons of damage on that Akali, but it's the set ultimates into the back line that are setting
the huge haymakers.
Everybody up to die, because jumps in, eats a ton of damage and sets up a huge haymaker. Ace Pack goes forward a little bit preemptively, winds up dying for his troubles, but manages to snag the team enough that Set can get there. And here comes the next big play as the team set up around this Baron. Tuba looking for Koite, who's all out by himself. Is Koite gonna get caught here?
Yeah,
Huge
Koite's
face
gonna
breaker
get
comes
caught.
out. The set ult comes out, but that's gonna be the carry dropping on the side of Spaceman Spiff. They can't contest this Baron anymore. They're just gonna have to push the turrets and the side lanes and hope that this Baron doesn't end the game.
They are able to get the mid lane turret. It was already close to being down anyways. They are going to try to get the inhibitor tower. I don't know if they're going to get the inhibitor, but they should be able to get the tower at the very least. So the base will be cracked open.
Gelati resetting, realizing somebody has to go back to base as the rest of the team rushes down the Baron. Reset coming out from the whole team as Spaceman Spiff attempts to take down the inhibitor.
They do get the inhibitor.
critically, they do get the inhibitor as they fall out. Another turret falls in the bot lane, so they lost the Baron, but they picked up 3 turrets and an inhibitor for it, which is the best that they could do in that situation, especially given that Koite got caught out in the top lane to start that set.
Yeah, and with that, so that is technically a negative Baron power play, as they lost the bot lane tower and the inhibitor tower after the Baron went down. So they're looking to be like a +0 Baron now, maybe around 500 to 1,000 with that tower going down.
Critically, items coming through on the side of Spaceman Spiff. Akali just finished the Morello, and Caitlyn just finished the rapid fire cannon. So despite the Baron buff, this is going to be the strongest that Spaceman Spiff is, and they're setting up a line of scrimmage with Caitlyn traps, but Mayor of Huevos is behind that line of scrimmage, sitting in a bush looking for an engage.
Koite is up top lane. He has teleport, but he needs to be in this fight.
Mayor of Huevos running in, ult to turn off the thing. But as the turret shuts down, Koite tries to TP in, manages to grab Tuba, but they knock down the turret, they knock down Taisa. That double bomb barely lands onto Koite. Tuba's at low health. However, they manage not to lose anybody. They trade an interior turret for an interior turret as Koite secures the one up top lane before joining the fight.
Yeah, but this Ezreal poke is just pounding on them.
And with the 2 cannon minions hitting this turret, it's looking like the inhibitor turret's going to fall for Spaceman Spiff, as there's 5 seconds left on Taisa. The real question here will be, how does this next 10 seconds go as Hangin with Friends falls back towards the Elder Drake?
Yeah, so now they have to be really careful because they have to contest this Elder Drake, but they can't be caught. They cannot die for this here until they're actually at the pit. And they're just charging it right up mid lane.
Electing to push mid lane as Solaire Yuzu is about to face check, but Solaire Yuzu with a smart dodge.
Wait.
Solaire Yuzu gets jumped on. That's the first death. That's a 1,000 gold shutdown as the speed boosts come out. And Koite jumps into the back line. Ulti from Hecarim. They manage to blow up Gelati. And Mayor of Huevos runs away. Ace Pets Tuba soloing Tinty in the back line. Koite's gonna fall to the Ezreal, and the team's disengaged for a second. It's a 3-for-1 in the favor of Hangin with Friends after they catch the Akali, and they're gonna be able to turn this into an Elder Dragon as Taisa and Ace Pat push down the mid lane. Another bad catch for Spaceman Spiff, ending their chances of contesting for an objective.
This has not been the series for objectives for Spaceman Spiff. They're getting towers, they're getting kills, but they're not getting dragons.
And also of critical import, the Akali falling and that last fight finally turns the gold tide in the favor of Hangin with Friends. Once again, hanging around late into a game on a Dragon Soul while losing the gold differential.
Alright, with this Elder, I personally think that it's going down for Spaceman Spiff. They do have the tools to fight, but Koite, off in the side lane again, needs to be with his team. What is he doing?
He was trying to push that last wave, but greeting for that last wave is going to cost him the inhibitor turret. His team needs to just, or not the inhibitor turret, but the inhibitor. His team needs to just give up this inhibitor. And interestingly enough, Hangin with Friends realizing that even with the Elder Dragon buff, they might not want a straight up 5v5. Solaire Yuzu spotting everybody out with the new Scryer's orbs.
Yeah, the fact that they added more of those throughout the map based on the dragons is just insane. Like, why? You didn't have to do that, Riot.
I don't understand either. The blast comes true. Speed boost goes in. Tuba runs forward, but he doesn't get out. A huge ultimate from
Collie's down.
just for the speed boost. Solaire Yuzu trying to run away, gets under the
Elder's about to proc him.
survive, however, and heals enough not
And
to get
down
Elder
goes
proc.
the Elder.
But the Elder procs come down on 3 other members before finally coming down on Solaire Yuzu. That's going to be the game. Looks like it's going to be a walk down the middle for Hanging with Friends, as they're going to be able to continue hanging out all the way into the finals.
Pat was able to dodge the second bomb, but it's still going to be slowed and goes down to the bear.
Last time 1 Elder wasn't enough. This time 1 Elder is plenty, as Hanging with Friends drops Spaceman Spiff 2-0, redeeming themselves for the 0-2 that they suffered in the last week of the regular season.
Congratulations to them, and they will be going to the finals. We have yet to cast the other series, so we will have to check back next weekend with the casters to see how that matchup went.
Find out who wins between my PA and your TT.
Yep.
I can't say that on cast ever again. Oh, that's horrible.
How dare you say that on my on my PG-13 rated channel? But anyways, that will have to do it for this this series. And what a great series! This was very, very close. You didn't know who was going to win until the Elders started coming out. Then that was like, okay, this is looking more and more for Hanging with Friends. And congratulations to them. And actually, I would have to give it to Rixie